Hey there, good morning. Apparently it's President's Day. I didn't know that. And there's a protest going on. They call them 51 protests, 50 states, 50 protests, one movement. And I saw one was taking place in Hawaii, on Maui, and I think the other islands too, some of it. And I said, what is this? So I started watching, and they're basically anti-Trump, and maybe not all, but they are anti-Elon Musk and so on. I was trying to read the signs, what they were trying to say. I've been involved in protests on Maui. You know, they're permitted protests. You can go and peacefully protest and you know, hold signs and people drive by and stuff like that. You try to get the word across. You know, they want to, I guess they feel the cuts are being made and things are going to be changed to Medicare, blah, 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 blah. They're really not hearing the message. You know, it's that thing, you know, you say something in an ear and you pass it around, and then it's completely different by the time it gets over there. And unfortunately, people have put a label on themselves. I'm a Republican, I'm a Democrat, I'm in a whatever. And they're sheeple. You become a sheeple when you just think you're one thing and you can't see the big picture. You're just a sheeple. And the island of Hawaii, you know, they all, you know, a lot of people, there's vegans there, but a lot of people are killing animals for consumption. They're doing things that are affecting them personally, and they don't understand the psyche. I ate meat my whole life until I had to wake up. I kept being forced to see the light when it came to animals and breeding us and animals for consumption. And also people got very roaded when they went to school. They got very roaded. It's memorization. You got memorized. So you're just spewing facts that you learned growing up that you had to memorize and so on, to support your cause or your ideology. The housing issue is horrible on Hawaii. You know, then people are, from the fires, still sleeping in hotels, and someone was trying to get the fact that they were maybe being forced to do things they don't want to do in these hotels, this and that. And keep in mind, there's people on the streets still that would love to be in a hotel room. Just keep that in mind. If you're safe, you're safe. They don't have kitchens. You know, they like to cook. Hawaiian people like to cook, and they like to do their own thing and be self-sufficient, as they used to be. And the meat, you have to really look at that, and it's hard to look at, it's hard to understand until you realize your health is falling apart because you're eating meat. If you're feeling ill and you really have some issues going on, and you've been told you have cancer or diabetes or what have you, you can cure yourself with food. You can. I eat a half an avocado, and there's banana there. I'm buying the soups as a homeless person. And, you know, potato wedges. You know, the vegan items at the fast food are expensive, and they don't let you spend EBT money on that. If you're in a bind, go to the county and start filling out your application for food assistance and health care. Just know you're automatically covered. If you go to the hospital for a need, you are pretty much covered automatically. They'll send you a bill, or you just tell them I need to get on the state. They'll put you on it right then and there. You know, there's a lot of infighting online, you know, with this political party that came in. And I've talked about it before. Why can't we just pass the torch? Why are we fighting as a country? We look like the stupidest people on the planet. And I know other countries do this. We are the stupidest people on the planet, fighting over a label of Republican or Democrat. you're really seeing, the universe is filled with everything. You ask yourself, where did the deleted emails go? Where do they go? The cloud. The cloud. So there's a price point for every sucker. The AI is very strong on us. I know this for a fact. And what I mean when you open up, you're telepathic. You can actually hear dialogue. You hear trauma all day long of people. All day long. And especially the animals. They can't even talk. They're so upset, waiting. Just like people that were told they have to get killed in prison. What a mindset we put on people. Rather than help them and right their ship. And there's true criminal activity going on in the street. Do you want a drop house with 50 people living next door to you of confusion because of the food chain? Do you want that? They're coming in hard on this area to get the criminals off the street. And then, you get a call, your manpower is going there. The homeless are waiting for help and this and that relief. There's real people miserable in marriages that have homes. The misery's everywhere. It's not just, and people are not drug addicts. When you look at the real realm of the eating, we're not drug addicts or alcoholics or whatever they deem you. You can have your consciousness completely wiped out and saying really fucked up stuff to people because of the food chain and confusion and all I call them Johnny come latelys. You can hear in my chakra all day long, Johnny come lately wants to say something. Like they're trying to teach us something we don't already fucking know. And once again, there's terrible presences on me when I'm walking around. They'll be like nigger or fat ass. They're saying it out of my chakra into someone. And I'm like, ignore. They say it to me too. They cut me down all day. You don't think we know we're heavy or the color of our skin? We've completely adapted and adopted. We're starlight having experiences. Understand that. You have a white body somewhere. I have a black body somewhere. This and that. We've all been these spirits and are in them, our divinity. And you can channel this. There's people good at doing this. Everything's a spirit. Everything's a spirit. So what does that mean? We're a bunch of adjectives walking around. And you can build up your spirit allies to help you. You have to walk with the light, though. And the light doesn't mean you take it up the ass. Okay? You do stand up for yourself. And you have to wake people up as much as you can. You're better off walking the political satire roast. They're just roasting each side. And yeah, they cut people down. But you're better off watching that than the real thing going on TV. It's basically the same stuff. Just different words are being used. There's a tree of life and a tree of knowledge. We've been eating from the tree of knowledge a long time. We need to go back to our roots. I encourage everybody to go vegan as much as possible right away. Stand up for yourself, your health, and your family. And I've been grateful for people bringing me food, but I don't want meat. I don't. Vegetarian is you still eat cheese, dairy, and so on. And cheese can constipate you if you eat a lot of it. There's vegan cheeses. They're made with nuts and different things. I have a Facebook page, Patrice Romero, Facebook artist, and I posted a Native American flute YouTube video. Before that, though, this guy has an ad, and it's exactly what I talked about. He's probably a doctor, young guy, in shape, and he talks about the things you need in your diet to right your ship. And he doesn't make you wait forever to hear, from magnesium to zinc. He mentions kombucha, fermented foods, which is like sauerkraut, things like that. You can pick up a lot of this right away at the store. And we appreciate people that are making these foods. This is where we need to put our money and our focus on this lifestyle. You can meet a vegan, you see they're usually in shape and they're thin. It's true. It works. And if you're feeling sick, you can just immediately get to the store and go old-fashioned. Your soups. There's green drinks for you. You can start making protein shakes. They're really yummy. You just get plant-based protein powders. You can put your banana, your raspberries, your apricots, you know, your fruit in there, and a flaxseed, you know, whatever. Enjoy a good protein shake as a meal, you know, replacement. Section 8 housing is confusing for people, and it is basically they work with your income. There's a threshold. You can't earn over a certain amount to be a part of a Section 8 housing, and they have long wait lists. You know, you're looking at a year here easily, or, you know, 8 months, and it's longer. Hawaii, I'm hearing 5 years. Some of these people have been on the list. But there could be a reason. You know, you could be in a home and already just wanting your own space. Maybe they don't want to take you under as a client at the facility. I did put my name on a Section 8 housing, and I supposedly have an intake interview coming up soon. I mentioned a video, Moving Energy, and this is important. Going back to Section 8 housing, it's you'll see these apartment complexes. You don't really know what they are, and you can go and put your name on a list. You fill out an application. They're really easy applications, basic stuff, and then they go through who's applied, and go from there, and they call you, and then you go through an intake interview. So we'll see. Don't feel guilty about being on services, because this is being supplemented by the money. You know, people live off printed money, right? You guys got to get this straight. You think people are losers because they're doing Section 8 or on government assistance? You think they're a loser, but you're the loser. You're the loser because you're a sheeple and you don't understand how the world works. There's real people living off printed money. Did they invent it, or did we all? Is it our right, all of our right, to have access to a home and food and self-sufficiency and so on? Is it everyone's right? It is, including the animals. People want their animals back from the fires, and they can't have them in the hotels. Maybe the animals are better off where they are. You know, maybe they're better off with other animals. I know my dog was happy as a camper when he'd be with other dogs. It made his day. He couldn't wait to get out there and play with them. They like that. They like to be around each other. So don't stress about your animals, okay? Don't stress about these things. You have roofs over your head, other people don't. Living in a hotel would be rough. I agree. You don't have to apply for, you don't have to pay anything to get into Section 8 housing. They work with your income, and you know, whether you're on disability or you're working a part-time job or you're chatterbaiting. I can't chatterbait because I'm in my vehicle, and that was my income for just a little bit. And I was a business owner, and we kept going virtual. And this brings me to my company, because I talked about these places not giving estimates for free on your auto fixes and so on. And you know, they want to charge you, and now this will take it off the bill. It's not the same thing. I had a casting company and a database you could be a part of, and we worked with the agents, and we also supplied non-union talent that weren't represented to production companies for their movies, films, commercials, print ads, so on. I did do union casting, which is SAG, the Screen Actors Guild, the office of Maui Mayor Arcara and his assistant were considering me for the Maui Film Commissioner. And I just moved to Haiku, you know, 45-hour drive in a, you know, Twin Falls area. And I said, that's all I need in my marriage, is to do this and have the separation between us. The unions like me, they do, including Screen Actors Guild. I worked hard to get where I was. We were called a scam our whole life. Just like you think everybody's a scam that's running for president, unless they maybe have a Democratic title, or vice versa. The Republicans think the Democrats are a scam. We were called a scam our whole duration of that company. And you do have to question, I want to tell you right now, people are being questioned about how can you have $20 million homes and $50 million homes when you only make this much money? We grossed over $1 million in our company. We netted $100,000. And which is a lot of money. It's still, it would be hard. It would have been hard to get into a $50 million area or a $20 million home. We were fortunate enough to, we put our money into real estate, but not like renting it. We were transitioning to Hawaii. Something was calling us to Hawaii, which was our past life. I flat out, when I met my husband, he goes, I want to be a pilot, marry a flight attendant for Continental Airlines, and move to Hawaii. That's my dream. Before I met him, I was a flight attendant with Continental Airlines. I lived in Hawaii for a little while. And I realized we had a past life together. And his last name is Bird. Barry Bird. It's his stepdad. He was raised by stepfather. Well, so in our casting company, you could, we had a selling portion of it that you could invest in yourself, get some professional headshots taken by us, get in our database so it's on the computer, because everything was computer oriented now. We didn't have computers when we first started. Early on, we finally got a computer, and I learned how to do resumes, and I started learning the computer on my own, and Excel and things like that. Databases used to be built in Excel, and back then you could always leave a photo with us and would keep it in a file, because if I couldn't find what I needed, I'd always go to those people and say, are you available? Because these people are not always available that paid money, and then you get someone that didn't pay out on set, and they can make some money. And we always had that free side, always. Even when we went total virtual and you could just build your profile online, you could do it and not be charged. And we did use those people, and we would send you casting alerts too. And I always, I invested in myself. I knew the importance of it without being told. And I spent money trying to get into acting, modeling, and so on. And I know I would have been a really good actor. I didn't end up pursuing that area because I started running a casting company. And we were at the point, like, are we going to be an agent? It was a right to work state, so we were doing headshots and giving them a list way early on. The first name of our company, the initials are AMR, and there's ambulances everywhere. AMR here in San Bernardino. It was Arizona Media Resources. And then once we got the computer, and we were doing darkroom too. We were still using the darkroom. We went digital. We were trying to keep up with the technology and so on. Invest in that. We invested in our company. We were able to switch things on the fly. Talk about how slow government works. These private companies that are successful, they move fast and they change things if it's not working. Like that day. People that didn't invest tended to not show up as much. It just depended, and that was fine too. And people that invested still didn't show up. You'd call them and they'd say they're going to be there, and they still don't show up on you. Things happen in their life, and usually jealousies. A lot of it is having a jealous issue in your household, not wanting you to be an actor. Be looked at by people. I know I got that when I was younger. I wanted to get into it, and I got a lot of jealous feedback from people in my life, boyfriends. Moving energy is real. I have a video when I was on Vimeo, and they cut me off saying I was too controversial, basically. And moving energy was one I had recorded. People, I'm on the computer. You can see all my stuff on someone's laptop. There's spirits that can go and do this. I talk about invocations that people do. And when we went to Peru and the shamans there were doing invocations like getting their leaf rattle and lighting sage and moving around the room. I invite the spirit of sage to cleanse the house and healing energies to come in. My spouse was getting down that road of verbally doing invocations. I was getting downloads and more in my chakra and pushing spirits a certain area and this and that, learning like you can, when you're laying there doing energy work, you'll sometimes people in your start flip and you're like, fuck, this is not right. You got to bring in your starlight and know what you're doing. It's dangerous. Just like anything you do can be dangerous. Everything out there is a danger, from drinking water to, you can get hurt on anything if you're not careful. Anything can hurt you if you're not careful. And when you really channel the message from LSD to angel dust to things that people are ingesting, even that new drug, I've never even heard of it, you're going to see. I channeled angel dust, and it was the angel of the light of the Beauty and the Beast. And that's a movie you can watch. So anyway, my spouse, when I built, there was this area where he was doing those invocations, moving around the house. I was sitting there just letting these downloads happen, being, miserable. It's a miserable experience to go through. Ego does. It's the most humbling experience you could ever have in your life. And he created a bubble. There was a whole bubble. I started going into the room. And that night, though, there was a crown placed on my head before that happened, and I went to go feel it. It was a thorny crown, but it didn't hurt. Plain as day. And then I wanted to go in the bedroom, and I was walking downstairs, and there was this membrane. And and it bounced me back. And then I'm like, I busted through. And I was being murdered in there. Just murdered. I was being raked over the coals again and again. This has happened for years for me, and I know people are experiencing this, and you don't understand. And I fought for my life that night, and I did many times after and before that. And I transcended to God not that long. I don't know how much longer. And I mean, like, I met him, like, the white light, Patrice! I heard this voice coming across the cloud, and then all of a sudden he's here, and tears, and kissed me. White flowing hair, white beard, white robe, passionate. He's my lover, my eternal flame. And I had to depart from him, and he had to depart from me. And I realized every time we would be fun, and I never saw him again like that. But I've met him in human form. I have. And he's in a lot of men, too. They just don't understand that God's in you, the divinity. And I realized every time we would be in a good mood or get along, the forces would come in and pull us apart. It's the food chain. So you have a hard time being close to him right now. And there's a lot of forces in your life pulling you apart in relationships, man. I know this. I see it again and again. The forces are pulling you apart. They want you to be with God and do the right thing, and they want you to quit eating meat. They just do, and quit fishing. I see the octopus. That's our placenta, flat out. The octopus lives 9 months. All this stuff is very real. All these areas in the universe are very, very real. The universe is air, earth, water, fire. And we're all superpowers. They mentioned the invocations of Donald Trump, running a third term. And he just laughs about it. Like, that's at least, the last thing on my mind right now. Because there's not going to be a third term. There won't be a third term for him and anybody. We're all going to be president of the United States of America. Okay? You'll all be the ambassador of your country. We're all going to be in charge with God running the world. And we care about everybody. We just don't care about our own state. But we do have to take control of our state and our criminal activities going on. I don't want a drop house near me. I don't want homeless people pissed off and trying to fight on the streets when I walk about. I don't want this. I don't want fighting in my life either. I hate it. I deplore fighting. You can protect yourself, but stop fighting over things and money. So people do have the privilege of living off printed money and zero balance credit cards. They can just zero. There you go. It's infinity. You just get this black credit card or whatever you call it. So you got to stop giving people a hard time that are getting assistance out there. And I know you're working these jobs that you fucking hate. Believe me, I know you hate them. I really didn't like many of my jobs until I started running my own company because I was the best boss for me. I was a good boss too. I kept people too long. I paid healthcare insurance for them. You know, we always talked about our healthy lifestyle and we tried to get people as far as partnershiping with us, knowing they didn't want to. They just didn't see our side of things, you know, and I understand. That's why I say we shouldn't have to work for you. Just because you start a company, I shouldn't have to work there. I didn't start that. Why do I have to work for you? Maybe I want my own. There's always going to be people supplementing the seed banks, and I'm talking about for food growing. They want to say, well, who's going to, you come in and buy stuff all day. Why don't you fucking work here one day? I didn't say that about people when they were doing movie work. You need to work for me. You see your mindset, your ideology is stupid. You can refurbish your own seeds once you start growing plants and stuff. They just keep growing. There's ways to do it. You got to learn these old-fashioned things that people used to do. AI is very, 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 very real. Artificial intelligence, and there's a good side to AI and a bad side to AI, and it really does know you. It gets to know you. I'm a Virgo, and when I read, you know, I was into astrology but not crazed about it, you know. It wasn't, hey, what, you know, every time you're betting what's your sign, you know, maybe it came up, but you know, people are real crazed about it and base their life around it, including not being awake that they're the animal. And good people out there, though, telling you about your astrology sign. It's cool. You can get your tarots read and things like that, and it's cool information. I look back at my life. I said, I am just like that. I really am. These things are really like me in this life as Patrice. We like exotic animals. You know, tend to be a little, I call it anal, but you know, efficiency. The Virgo woman, you know, they can say it can be cold, things like that, and that affected me. You know, when I was in Hawaii and I moved to Twin Falls area, I wanted a cat again. I was an empty nester. Here, I still didn't have my child in my life. My child spirits were leaving me too. You know, I was at that point, well, I'm getting old. I don't want to do a photo shoot. I don't want to do this. I still was active, you know, physically, but, you know, seeing myself, I'm like, And I wanted a cat. I'm just going to get a cat. Just a cat, you know, an outdoor cat, you know, one of those run around. And I kept, on the computer, these cats kept coming up from Captain Cook, Hawaii. These ragdoll cats, they're called. And I'm like, here I go again. Plunked down money and had them shipped to Maui, 2 of them, a male and a female, Romeo and Jasmine. And I was just going to go rescue a cat from a shelter, and I didn't do that. I ended up, buying from a breeder. I mean, AI comes in strong, and you'll get a loan on something you really can't afford, or this and that. It's talking to you all day long. Eat me, do this, buy this. Consumption's the biggest one. You're spending so much money on stupid shit. It's not even funny. So much money on it. It's terrible what's going on in life. And then you can take AI and go, I need a bio about myself. I want to see what it says. And you'll have the coolest bio written about you. It might not fit you, but it might maybe fit your moon sign. It's combining it. And so there's good things about AI, and there's real intelligence behind it. But you are being told what to do and what to buy and what to wear and how to act and what to say by what you're seeing on TV and the downloads. And the people that don't have this information are being controlled by this information and being unconnected to the rest of the world that is on computers and cell phones. And they can obviously remote view your cell phone. That's why I don't get any donations. None. They're remote viewing me. And how this works is you call Dell. I used to have a Dell computer, and I'm a fan of Dell. I love their 2-in-1 computer. I am. I'd buy one again. But let's say it's broke or I need help. I can call them. They'll go, okay, I'm going to send you a link, and I need you to give me permission to take over your desktop. They're in fucking India or New York or wherever, India. You get the link, you agree, and next thing you know, you see your mouse move, and they're doing it all. Okay, I'm going to open these folders. We're going to go here. Oh, I see the problem. They're really good at helping you. They're remote viewing you. Okay, they can do this on your phone. I was trying to upload on Starbucks free Wi-Fi, and I kept getting internet down, because the gateways aren't there and the trauma's there. There's major trauma in these areas, and it kept crashing. It kept just kind of crashing my stuff. And, I want to blame them. Oh, there's too many devices, this and that. But that's the true reality of all the gateways. Because when you have internet and you're paying for it, you have gateway security, it's your name attached to it, this and that. And it's watching us 24/7. Don't be afraid of this. I was really offended when I unclocked and I started hearing information and voices and telepathic communication. I said, fuck, they're watching me go to the bathroom? Really? I was constipated for probably a week after that. And what was coming in strong was 9/11. Big fucking download about 9/11. My spouse was born on 9/11. After that, I'm like, fucking eat your Taco Bell. I don't care. Because if they want to cut you down, they can cut you down all day long. I'm vegan. I kept having to be shown to go vegan and vegan. You can restore your health just like that by turning your diet around. People want hard answers. They want the hard way out. I'm going to go to the doctor, and he said I have to get this pill and maybe an antidepressant and probably a hip replacement too. And then I'm going to come back, and I got to drive over there too, all the way over there. So you can restore your health, change your diet. It's that simple. Get a treadmill. I love treadmills. I love them. I get my headset, and I dance on it, and I can move like a mother. I have so much energy at 59 years old. So much energy. And I cured my health issues before I unclogged by micronutrients, supplementing with micronutrients, including zinc, selenium, magnesium, green drinks, of course, protein shakes, kombucha. Tangy Tangerine was something you could get on Amazon, and it is for longevity. Their site's changed a little. I'd try their Restore. There's products on there. If I had money, I'd try. I don't want them now. I'm pretty much on the other side of this, but I can get taken down if I'm eating a bunch of crap and and so on, and the rains, it's in the rains and the chemicals, you know, lifting up, falling down on us, and the confusion. And no one's guilty behind the scenes. So you can fight all day long, but no one's guilty. You can kill us all day long, but no one's guilty. There's a movie out there, a Viking movie, and I said, oh, I get it. The whole way is just a bloodbath. And at the end, he had turned his life around, and he didn't want people killing. And you saw him with a Jesus fellow. That's our life. We're suffering behind the scenes. You don't realize what's going on. And a lot of people, you know, you had to go to work, so you didn't breastfeed. A lot of us weren't breastfed. And I asked my mom, I go, what'd you feed us? She goes, corn syrup. I go, they didn't have formula? She goes, yeah, that's what it was. I grew up on corn syrup. You can give them green drinks. You can give babies these things. They'll lie to you all day and say, oh, they need formula. Formula is milk-based. There's plant-based formulas out there. Soy. They're not really plant-based. For some reason, they're having a hard time with this issue. So that's weird. I'm going to let you go. It's a long upload. It takes hours. And keeping strong. To me, protests are a waste of my time. I've done it, been there, done that, checked that off. And I met cool people, but not really. You're just busy protesting. You're not really meeting a bunch of people and stuff like that. People aren't really talking to each other out there. You'll see. You'll see. They're just confused people holding signs saying, we hate Trusk. We hate Trusk. And I know the transgender area is very big. I understand that. It's estrogen mimickers and real situation where people are like, you're gay. You just need to fucking cut your dick off. And then you're a tranny. And you have real issues when you do that. Please don't do that to yourselves. You're just hurt by the food chain. Don't ever hurt yourself. Break up with your doctors and your plastic surgeons and people that tell you need to do stuff like that. Right away, tell them to fuck off. These people can be dangerous because they've been really hurt. Just like a normal person can be dangerous that you think is normal, or a spouse. But I don't think you should be on a women's team unless it's a co-ed team. I'm all for that and light fun for charity. Have co-ed teams. I know a girl said she was on the men's wrestling team in high school. I go, what the fuck? So the masculinity is in us really strong, and so is the estrogen and the things that are in the food you're eating, creating issues with the downloads of who you are. We love you all. Just get that straight. None of you are guilty of anything. And you're not drug addicts, you're not alcoholics, and you're not sex addicts. But the sex drive is huge, and a lot of people try to heal themselves through sex. That's a hard way to go, and you want the hard way out, apparently, or the hard way into the light. So be strong in who you are. Work as a team with people, and if they fucking drive you crazy. And if you're safe, you're safe. Okay? All right. All right, I'm gonna let you go. Toodaloo. Peace out.